Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Love Hour podcast. I am your host, Miss KevOnStage, and I am here and joined by my husband, as always.
The KevOnStage. You didn't even say co-host.
And co-host.
The KevOnStage.
I think I just get excited for you to say the KevOnStage. And we are, of course, continuing our month of taking the stigma out of sex.
Taking the stigma out of sex.
And we are joined by Kenya and Takara Martin.
Yeah.
Woo! Clap it up, Josh.
What's up?
Clap it up.
Please.
Studio audience, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Joshua.
So many titles. So many titles. Okay, so I just want to briefly tell you guys about Takara and Kenyon. They are counselors and creators of the Soul Ties Detox. They are committed to helping individuals and couples transform toxic relationship habits into healthy love. They also host the podcast called the Soul Ties Podcast, and I'm so happy to have them join us today. Thank you guys so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yay. Huh? You said thanks for having us?
Yes.
Okay. As always, we want to thank our sponsors for this episode, Purple, Lola, and Scentbird. Supporting them is also supporting us. Mm-hmm. So we always appreciate your support of our sponsors.
Yes, amen.
Amen. And you guys have been loving our sponsors thus far. I am particular about the sponsors that we pick for the podcast. I try to make sure they make sense with either the theme or what we're about. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys so much. You guys, we've been getting really good feedback, and y'all keep staying in my DMs about Blue Chew.
Blue Chew is the Lord's work.
Blue Chew is the Lord's work. And y'all stay in my DMs about it. And we got something for the ladies today. Okay, so before we get started, I want to ask our that or this or that question. Cue jingle here.
That or this with Kev and Liz. The link.
It's time for This or That with Kev and Liz. This or That with Kev and Liz. Tomato.
Potato.
We choose each other no matter the problem. This or That with Kev and Liz. This or That with Kev and Liz.
All right, this is the question. Would you rather accidentally send a dirty text to your mom or to your boss?
Ooh. That's a good one, Liz.
Oh,
Takara, do you want to answer?
I would much rather send it to my mom.
Your mom? I saw you come to the answer in your head. That's why I was like, let me ask you first.
Yeah, I would much rather send it to my mom. My mom is growing up, very strict church household, but she still maintained a sense of comfort when it came down to sexuality. So if I accidentally sent her something, she'd be like, go ahead, girl, get it. I'm just like, cool.
Okay. Kenyon?
Oh, my boss, because I'm my boss.
That was too easy.
It was.
Too easy. I was waiting for that to come.
If it did slip to go to my mom, she'd understand. She'd just, okay, that's all right. Just go on. Don't do that
she'd
no
ask for more grandkids than that. Like, so both of us have some nasty mamas, apparently. So like,
Kev?
Man, I'm my own boss now, but I'd like to think back to when I worked for the man. I've actually sent a dirty text to the wrong person before.
You have.
Yes, it was,
you should share that story right now.
I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So this was at a time in my life. Melissa and I were separated, not like bad relationship separated, but Isaiah was filming a movie here in LA, and Melissa was working regular for the job, working for the man in Washington. So we would see, this was 3-month period, 4 months period.
Yeah, probably.
Where we'd go like 2 weeks without seeing each other, which was a long time. So it was dark and lonely those nights. And I thought I text Melissa. And you know when you send a risky text and your heart beating fast and you're like waiting for the response? So I texted her, I was like, is masturbation wrong if I'm thinking about you? Right? So I fired that text off. And I'm just like, oh man, she is taking a long. Like we were texting back and forth. So I'm like, man, why is she taking so long? And my homegirl, should I name her?
No.
Okay, my homegirl.
But I'm going to let her know that this is on this episode.
Yeah. So we call this M-Gate within our group chat, Masturbation Gate.
Yeah, we do.
Oh my God.
So then my homegirl response, she was like, I mean, that's between you and Liz. And I was like, what's between me and Liz? No. This was way early in our marriage. Like, This was maybe six years ago,
Probably.
almost 7.
Yeah.
We were not as comfortable with these topics as
It was
we were.
actually longer than that.
So it was like, so our homegirl was like, luckily she wasn't tripping.
Yeah, she's
like,
super cool.
Right.
she was like, I know you wasn't talking to me. Like, I knew you meant to send that to Liz because we don't have no relationship like that.
Ever.
So, like, luckily it wasn't nothing like that. But I mean, it was like my heart fell out of my chest through the ground to the 3 stories down. It was in China. And so that was super awkward.
I've been crying.
Melissa
It
never
was-
even answered the question because it was so
hilarious.
awkward.
We ended
that
up
we-
having the 3 of us getting on a group chat and talking about. Actually, I think it was 4 of us.
Yeah.
I think,
Two people that won't not
two
be
additional
named.
people or one additional person joined, and we laughed about it for
years. Still
be honest, still to this day.
We're like, remember that one time? Oh, yes, we all remember.
Like, bring up old stuff.
It was so weird.
and they do
so,
call it MGay. It's so funny.
So to answer your question, man, see, my mom is like y'all mom. She's
is.
really like, you cannot make her feel weird.
They
Right.
have a
And I
who's gonna
have-
out embarrass who's gonna call chicken
We
first.
try to embarrass each other, and she
definitely.
always wins. You know, I'm not easy to embarrass, but my mom be like, she'd be like, your father still got it. I'd be like, no, my eyes, my ears, my nose, all orifices. So I don't think I could embarrass her, and she probably wouldn't let me live it down. I could quit a job. Like, hey man, I send that to my boss. I don't work here no more. Like,
Right.
I gotta go. So I think, given the circumstances, I'd rather send it to my mom because she's funny, and we will have a laugh about it. And if I send it to my boss, I might get HR called on me. So I don't need those
and
problems.
Right.
Get a
Right.
hashtag Me Too in a minute these days.
That's true. But I'm gonna go against the grain,
Really?
and I'm gonna say my boss. I think I would be mortified. Not. I think I know. I would be completely mortified if I sent it to my mom, and she would be mortified, and it would just be like. Not
You coming over for
acceptable.
Thanksgiving? No, I can't
wanna
see you
no
anymore.
more. I
Does
don't
your
wanna
mom
see-
listen to the podcast then?
She does, but then she does like this month. I think she's not listening. I
taking
know
a
she's
month
not.
off.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
taking a
wow.
month off because typically she'll text me like, "Ooh, girl, that was so good," and she hasn't done it this
Like,
month.
at all.
You don't want the
Oh.
stigma to be taken out of sex
Yeah,
in
she
regards to her
doesn't.
daughter.
So she's not listening.
That's
this
got to
month.
be weird though.
Of
Like knowing your daughter's getting taken down.
hello. Why would you say it like that?
I mean, they gotta be like, man, like you have 2 kids. They know something happened when the Holy Ghost,
At
when
least
the when the Emancipation Proclamation. Hey, man.
I always know I'm trying to be more aware of when I'm like nervous and uncomfortable to like just process that, and I start like grabbing my hand and squeezing.
Do you really?
Yes.
That's how you
And
like.
that's-
Hey guys, I'm not nervous at all. I just fine. I am.
Good conversation.
This, I always sit like this. What do you mean?
Get hot. And I felt myself. I'm like, I feel pain in my hand because you're squeezing it.
I'm
stopping
hurting
the
myself, and I don't
circulation.
know why.
And I'm like trying to be
Oh, man.
like literally I wanted this month to like challenge me and like help me get out of my own comfort zone. But I feel like sometimes I'm just like, I'm not ready. I don't want to talk about none of the
don't want
things
it.
no more. Who thought of this brilliant idea? It's dumb. Okay, so thank you so much for participating.
No problem.
So what we want to do next is go into our book club, and I need a title for it. I was thinking of pages, but I audio listen, so pages
Same.
don't work.
I was trying to think of something with alliteration.
I-
Melissa's looking at these books, but that's just too
That's
else.
way too long.
Melissa's
Somebody
mind.
will think of it. Somebody give me a book title. Okay, a book club name. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, we're continuing For Women Only by Shanti Feldman.
Frederick's Fun Reads.
Feldhen.
Oh,
What?
Melissa's Frederick's Fun Reads.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't like it that much.
List's list. List's list.
List's list might work.
List's list.
That's
And then it
okay.
can be books and it can be other stuff.
Okay, I think I do like that.
I was gonna figure it out. Take anything, make me feel valued.
And it can't be
Being
later. It
seen,
has to
being
be
heard.
right now in the
It
moment.
has
Yes,
to be
yes,
this
That's
moment.
It's like, no, it has to be now.
List's
Like,
list.
Okay, I like that. So we are continuing reading this book, and I actually received a DM from this girl, and she's like, "Melissa, this book, the ladies only taking the men's side. Like, I don't understand why y'all was reading
How
this
can I
book."
tell my
Wow.
husband
This is
he's
not
wrong
fair.
with this book?
Right.
This is telling me I'm wrong, and that's not the
Oh
point.
my gosh! And I just fell out laughing. So women, if you feel that way, I actually understand, because what this book is the insight into men for women. And if you want the opposite, then you should read Jeff's book, which is for men only, which has the insight of women for men. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yes. So that's why you feel like it's a little off balance, because the whole purpose of the book is to give women insight into a man's thinking. Which is quite profound, really. And you really don't realize how truly different men and women are. And this book just like...
Well, it's because we've been taught for so long that men are simple.
Yes.
And all they need is food and sex. But never looking into the why behind it all.
Yes.
So true.
And so we minimalize what men need.
Ooh, girl.
Because that has been perpetuated, like, all throughout our lives. Men they're just simple, girl. Give them food and sex. That was my premarital talk.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Get that man a little biscuit and some butt. Yeah. He'll be fine.
Basically.
And why are you with this alliteration thing today? I want you to
some
stop.
cookies and some...
Oh, Jesus.
That might have to be bleeped. I don't know what rating. I don't know.
That's not G.
That's not G, right?
Pretty sure it ain't. Pretty sure it's not.
Why you say it 3 times? Bleep, Joshua.
If they bleep it, they're gonna think I'm cussing.
Okay. So I am on chapter...
My goodness.
5.
My God.
Welcome.
My God, today.
Poor kid.
We're on, I'm on chapter 5 or 6. Actually, I think this might be chapter 6. And this chapter specifically, like re-listening to it has blown my mind yet again. And I just want to quickly go over some points, and feel free to jump in and share your thoughts. So this chapter, she is talking about sex, actually. And she is talking about basically how we as women, we do trivialize and minimalize sex for men, because we seem to, we think of it as very like as a biological need for a man and not an emotional need. And oftentimes, and I know I have felt this way early on due to a lack of knowledge, that I am the superior emotional being. As the woman, because I require conversation and time and connection and all of these things, and he just wants sex. And when you do that, you trivialize the actual emotional connection that a man experiences through sex.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
So when you did feel like that, and it did start out that way, did it make you resentful then for fulfilling the sexual side of the need?
Absolutely. So what I ended up feeling like was that I am doing this, well, it was twofold. And we kind of talked about this during the Love Hour last year when we were on tour. We called it the emotional broken cycle. And what we kind of framed it as is that emotional connection or intimacy for a woman starts outside of the bedroom through time, talk, and conversation. And for a man, it is inside the bedroom. And oftentimes we only think of intimacy in terms of physical connection. And so women are just like whatever they need is often tossed out the window. So men aren't present for us women outside of the bedroom, but it's our requirement, our duty to be present for the man inside of the bedroom. And so then we end up resenting all of it because I'm emotionally unfulfilled, but I have to be present to fulfill your emotion. And then this was the kicker, though, that I'm like, again, relearning, is that obligation, like just having that duty, that physical presence for your husband to perform or satisfy his the biological need, he can still feel rejected because you are not fulfilling the emotional need.
Absolutely. The whole idea around that is that we've oversimplified. Now, here's the problem with guys is that while you guys were taught that, or that was the perception, it was our perception too. So as we're out there experiencing, or whatever the case may be, or in our marriages, we don't know that something's missing. And all we're really looking for is acceptance. And that is the most intimate, most vulnerable, most open time of acceptance that we get an opportunity to have is in sex, is in having that. And if we're not feeling you, feeling you is not just physical. We need to feel, we need to hear, we need to touch, we need to feel that you want us.
Yes.
That's being, it's like giving you a gift. And if we present our gift and it's halfway accepted, or like, okay, what's the thought that counts? You know, things like
Or
that.
if she just lay there and don't say nothing, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
You gotta throw that thing back.
You're being like very,
You have to.
you're being very
You gotta throw that
She
thing
just lay
back.
there.
You gotta throw it back.
You got to.
You can't just be like, okay, you know,
Right.
You can't just take it like that. You know, there's, because then here's the thing. Melissa's helped me understand this a lot. Like, and because I'm a man, bravado and ego, we really misunderstand our feelings.
Yes.
And we don't understand how much we lead ego first and how sensitive we are, because our sensitivity is shrouded in bravado.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, that hurt my feelings, it's like, oh, she disrespectful, she don't care about
Yes.
me, blah, 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 it's whatever, I don't need nobody.
Right.
As opposed to, that hurts my feelings, or when you don't seem engaged, I feel like you don't want me. Like, that's really what we're feeling. But what we're
Right.
barking is, you trash, we know, whatever.
Exactly.
Because we're not really taught, in my mind, to identify our feelings and express those in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So then you end up, she doesn't get we end up arguing when the truth was very simple. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's one of the things I'm for sure working on, is expressing my feelings without ego and without bravado, so she can understand them without feeling attacked.
Yes.
Right, right.
So good.
It's good to know that women are more emotionally articulate.
Yes.
And men are just not emotionally articulate, although we're just as emotional.
Yes.
we are taught
That was good.
That was good. Society teaches us to compress that.
Yes.
You know, even with little
absolutely.
things, when you cry and scrape your knee, don't cry.
Walk
Like,
it
you're
off.
teaching
Man
somebody,
up.
be a man,
Right.
you soft. You're teaching us the opposite of what even your body is telling you, this is painful.
Exactly.
And we're taught to to push that down and away. And then then when it's time to be with our wife, we're supposed to be, sensitive and understanding.
And we can't, because we've never been taught to be.
No,
Absolutely.
I remember.
But we feel
I'm
it.
going to say this real quick. Listen, I know you got to make the next point.
Okay.
So one of my homies is really hood, and he had a baby, and his baby is like 2 months old. Right, baby's he's like, stop all that crying.
Oh.
I'm like, and he's trying his best to be a father. Like, I don't want it. But
Right.
He's only doing what he was taught. The baby's like, I have no other way to communicate.
Right.
I am tired. I need to go to sleep. I don't know how to talk. You know what I mean? So, he's just reinforcing what he's been taught, in the best ways possible. And this baby's just tired. He just
Exactly.
wants to go to sleep.
Right.
Exactly.
Sleep. Thank you for that.
What a segue.
What a
I tried to
segue.
set you up.
Oh,
You
you
were
did.
like,
You know what
baby
happened?
going to sleep. Sleep.
I
I
get-
need it. Humans need sleep. I like it.
I get so caught up in what you're saying that I forget.
I was lobbing
it
it
was
to you,
dumb
and
though.
you were playing a
I-
different
He was
sport.
like, he threw that ball
I was
good.
Like,
I
lobbed it up for you perfectly. You were
I
playing
was out.
baseball.
Yeah, I wasn't present. Okay. What's funny about sleep is that I read a meme. I'm always reading somebody's meme, and they were talking about sometimes restless sleep is the result of a lack of peace. And I think that is quite often the reason we don't rest at night.
Yes.
It's just because we don't have like peace in our mind or peace in our surroundings, in our bodies, in our in our everyday lives. We don't have that peace. But another component of great sleep and rest is having a great mattress, which is a physical component that can add to having a peaceful night's rest.
Yes. I just want to say, it's funny that we talk about this mattress from one of our sponsors, and how growing up we had terrible mattresses and terrible beds, like straight rock hard box spring, rock hard mattress, and we was waking up angry and not knowing why. It's because your back hurts and you sleeping like trash, because you sleeping on basically 2 box springs. And being told y'all should be grateful because we didn't even have beds. When I was a kid, we didn't have eyelids. You lucky you could close your eyes because we didn't have to work through the middle of the night. And let me tell you what, I've been on tour, and one of the things that saves me is when I come home, I sleep like crazy.
Oh, that's
and
good.
I mean, you have to recharge. Like, even when it's like going to the gym, I'm like, sometimes I need more sleep than I need to work out because we have to shoot or whatever. And the only thing that keeps me in good shape is not good shape is like physically muscles, but like the ability to keep going is I get great sleep. And you can't get great sleep without a great mattress.
Absolutely. The purple mattress will probably feel different than anything you've ever experienced because it uses this brand new material that was developed by an actual rocket scientist. It was not like the memory foam I'm used to. The purple material feels very unique because it's both firm and soft at the same time. So it keeps everything supported while you still feel really comfortable. Plus, it's breathable, so it sleeps cool, which is very important because
Yes.
everybody wants the cool side of the
And
bed.
also, when your wife turns the heat on to 76 every night. and
Who'd be doing that?
People's wives.
People's wives
Various
be turning
people's
it up to
wives turn the heat
78.
on to 70. And 76 is just not comfortable for anyone, especially when you're trying to sleep. The only thing that saves our marriage is the cool mattress. Because I'll be waking up sweaty like, have I been at work? When did I start working at a steel mill making
First of
hot
all,
iron?
78 degrees is the perfect temperature in a house.
No, it's not. I'd be dying. It's like sleeping in the sauna.
Takara's like, no, it's not. What's your comfort?
My comfort is 60.
69.
Yeah.
Oh, you like to be frozen.
Ayo.
Yeah.
Oh, did you just mean the degrees or
Degrees.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was thinking about
69
something
degrees.
Shut up.
Well, it's a mattress.
I mean, we talking about mattresses.
we gonna get there somehow.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, no, really, that's what we set it at.
69?
Man, that must be
69.
so comfortable.
I like to be cold. And
It is
I
very-
do
cold.
too.
It's like,
What's the point of having covers if you're already hot?
It's very
sweating.
uncomfortable.
Get a
to
cool
be done.
mattress from Purple.
Yes, that is
Yes.
the point.
Yeah.
We will leave here today and get a cool mattress.
Purple. Purple
Please
offers
do.
a 100-night risk-free trial. If you're not fully satisfied, you can return your mattress for a full refund. 100 nights.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
almost
That's a lot of
whole
sleep.
season.
That's a lot of sleep
That's a
because
lot of
I have
everything you need to
definitely
do.
tried on shoes and walked around and been like, these are the perfect, most comfortable shoes I have ever worn in my entire life. I will buy them.
Yes.
And then walk out and be like, this was the dumbest decision. They hurt my feet. My heels hurt. Purple gives you 100 nights.
100 night.
Backed by a 10-year warranty plus free shipping and returns. First of all, this is an amazing deal.
Amazing
Yeah.
deal.
Y'all should take it up.
Take
think we
advantage of it,
should.
guys. You really should.
You're going to love Purple, and right now, my listeners will receive a free Purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text Love Hour to 84888. The only way to get this free pillow is to text Love Hour to 84888. That's LOVEHOUR to 84888.
And give yourself the gift of a
Of
great
sleep.
night's rest.
That was good,
Oh,
Ken.
yeah. If you jumped in and messed it up.
Sorry,
that's
say it again.
dumb. Of sleep. Give yourself the gift of a great night's rest.
Message
our
and
friends
data
at Purple.
rates may apply. Okay, so I want to go over just really quickly, just really back on, or come back to the book because we're having a really good conversation. And there were some specific things that she said in the book that I thought was like really, really good. So she says, well, one of the questions I actually had while I was listening to you, all right over there? Okay. One of the questions that I actually had, and literally I wanted to talk about was, as women, how can we do a better job? Okay. So given the idea that being desired and wanted is an emotional need for men. Okay. How can women do a better job? Like, what are specific things that we can do to show you that we want you and desire you in that way? I feel like that may be, I think for women, sometimes we do the house cleaning and the cooking and we think that is showing love because the house looks presentable and you come home and there's food on the table, and men are like, yeah, but sex though. And so I think we miss that for us.
Well, I think we have to. We're in a society now where roles can be whatever. So those roles don't define you as a woman.
Absolutely,
And so
that's
if those roles don't define you as a woman, anybody could do those.
Kenyon does laundry.
Ooh.
Kenyon does laundry. So I'm like,
point.
listen,
You
not
see
in
what
my
I'm
house.
saying?
Yeah, I
That
like
makes me,
that a
turns
lot.
me on. He does laundry. So
And it works.
Yes.
So the thing is, and cook, but the idea is the very first thing in order to learn anything new is understand that you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And so I think women can step back and say, hey, listen, I don't know how to access my man. I don't know how to access my husband. That's very important because that puts you in a position to learn to rediscover him and learn to discover who
Ooh, I
he
like
is.
rediscover a lot.
Exactly. And then you begin the conversation. What can I do for you? How can I help you? What do you need, huh? What you speak to them in whatever language they desire to be spoken to.
I mean, and we meet so many couples who been married for 5, 10, 20 years, and they literally have issues because they won't ask those questions.
Right.
I already know what he gonna say. I already know he always say this. He always does this. And it's like, and it's based upon, it could be your interpretation based upon a moment or even a season in your marriage, but it's not who your spouse is. And so we take those opportunities for granted to rediscover our spouse because even in the time that we've been married, I'm not the same person that I was when Kenyon and I first got married.
Facts.
Absolutely.
And the thing,
I mean, I just met you, but I know that's a fact.
but the thing that gets me going now is not the thing that did when we first got married. Now it's real. We work together. We're together 24 hours a day for the most part, all day long. There are certain things that we have to practice with each other to make sure that we don't miss those opportunities to learn what my spouse needs today, not what they needed 5 years ago.
Yes.
Right. So
That was good.
if sex is his favorite meal, this is your favorite meal. I make it all the time. What new spice can I add to this? What can I put on the plate to bring your attention to what I have to offer over in this area? You understand what I'm saying? So there comes a time where you just build on what you already have. You already know he likes this. How can you switch it, flip it, or whatever the case may be?
Oh no.
to make it good for him.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You know, and that's what's important. That's how you can show him by giving him opportunities to give to you so that you can receive him and in new light and new ways and new thoughts.
That was good. You had something to say, Kev?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the house thing, for example. That in my personal eyes, I mean, I like a nice house, clean house and stuff, but that's not my love language. So I think Melissa's like, oh, I present this to you, the house is clean, and I'd be like, nice, but it don't be like, you know, whatever. One thing I personally desire is if you start the sex off, like that is more. Let the house be dirty. The laundry should be done. But I thought we was going to sleep, and I woke up and you was on top of me, and I said, "Am I awake or am I dreaming?" And when I find out it's a real life dream, I'll do the laundry. I'll take care of that.
Right,
I have
right.
so much new energy and so much newfound respect because I think a lot of times men want to feel wanted and sexually desired.
Yes.
It's nice that our wives accommodate us sexually. Yes, you can have sex. You know, yes, we can do it tonight. Yes, I'll do that thing that you like. Whatever that is great. But when you initiate sex, it says, hey, I want you in this way as well. And that is, you know, that feeds our confidence, you know, to be desired. The same way you probably want to feel, you know, be told you look beautiful, you smell nice, whatever. When you take that initiative, and not even all the time, it's like you were saying, it's like the dessert before dinner.
Right.
You know, you take that initiative, it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm not used to this. And then it feels that much better.
There you go.
Amen.
I think
That's good.
That was good. I didn't mean to say amen, but I did.
I say amen all the time. I'm very churchy. I do it all the time, even at work. I think for a lot of times what he was saying in terms of, you know, the love language and all of that stuff too, we always intuitively speak our own love language
Absolutely.
first to our spouse. And so intuitively, we will continue to give our spouse what we believe they should have based upon what makes us feel good.
Right.
And not what makes them feel good. And I think that's a huge problem too when we get down to marriage, because it's like, I do everything. Why don't you appreciate what I do for you? But you didn't listen to what I was asking for.
Right.
What I was needing. Like Kenyon, I know what his love language is. So he likes words of affirmation. So yeah, I'll tell him he looks good. I'll tell him, oh babe, that was dope what you wrote yesterday or whatever. But I also understand that he needs to feel desired. So I send him dirty text messages. Like, and I'll be like, I can't wait for tonight. I can't wait for this. But in return,
We are yet working. The Lord is working on Melissa through each guest.
I do, but I send him messages. I tell people all the time, do not group message me and Kenyon. You might get something nasty back. And I don't recall that it was all three of us in that conversation. I'm just telling you. But it's like, I do that, but then the reciprocal, what he does for me, it's like when you're dating somebody and you'd call them the next day to let them know that you enjoyed their time. As a husband, he makes sure he follows up with those intimate connections, even the next day. Like, babe, let me tell you, I really enjoyed when you did. I love it when you blah, 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 blah. And it keeps that circle of appreciation going. So that way it's like, I don't mind initiating. I don't mind getting it going for him because I know he truly lets me know that what I do for him is valued.
Gotcha. Are you words of affirmation?
No, I'm touch.
Physical touch.
I can't even go to sleep without touching him. Like my leg will just be like spread over him.
That's
Like
funny. If you don't know the 5 love languages, that's what we're all alluding to. You definitely should read it. But speaking of the nudity, I kind of want to just use that as a segue to go into our topic, which is the idea of sexual freedom, which I know a lot of people struggle with. And honestly, it's something that I have and do struggle with. There is a current campaign going on right now.
Right.
In the French's house.
Send him the nude. Send him the
Exactly.
nude.
I kept seeing that. Like, what is
Send
this?
him the
literally in the Frederick's household, but it has also transformed into an actual like campaign on social media.
Love it.
I receive DMs. People are creating Instagram messages. It is in my comments. It is everywhere about sending him the nudes.
Send him
Noted.
a nude.
And,
Hashtag
yeah.
Shan.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Send him a nude.
Yeah,
Shan,
send him a nude.
And now they're just going to be hashtagging Shan. And someone hashtag GTD on my
Got the
GG
job?
site. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I was like, that's total throwback. But anyway, I wanted to talk about sexual freedom and how we talked about sexual exploration last week. But the only way to get into exploration is actually to have freedom. And before you can have freedom, to be honest, you might need some tools to help you get there,
Right.
especially when it comes for women specifically. That friction sometimes can be painful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we need lubrications
Yes.
and different things like that to help ease the process. I'm trying to do this as like
That was great.
okay, good.
I think
I'm really
sometimes-
trying to make this like as like delicate and classy.
Well, tell
as
them about our
possible.
friends who have a great
Okay, so
lubrication.
let me tell you about Lola. Lola is a female founded company offering a line of organic cotton tampons, pads, liners, and all natural cleansing wipes. And they now offer sex products,
Yes.
which I'm like super excited about because obviously it fits with our theme for the month. So what can you get? They have condoms and lubrication.
And listen, Listen, I want to tell you guys something that I dealt with personally.
Okay.
With lubrication, right? This might have been stupid of me, but I was anti-lubrication because
was.
I felt like it is my duty to get you there
Got you.
Right.
Got you.
naturally. And if I can't get you there naturally, then I'm not doing my job right. What I did not understand is some of this is not like sex based. Some of it is nature. Like
Right.
if you're closer to your cycle, you might be more dry. Post baby, you might be more dry. And now I think of lubrication as a tool as opposed to a cop out.
Right.
Like I
Right.
felt like, well, I can't do it, so just get this little lubrication and then I'll just be sad. I'm gonna still have the sex, but I'm gonna be sad about it. And instead, now we use products like the lubrication from Lola, and we incorporate it into our whole process and understand that sometimes you just need a little added moisture, and it's better and more pleasurable than try to force it up in there.
Absolutely.
Before you bake biscuits, you got to put some butter on the pan.
There you go.
So it's a smoother process,
Hey.
man. And I'm just buttering the pan so the biscuits slide in smoother.
sure.
You're speaking both my languages.
Biscuits and booty, I'm
biscuits
telling you,
and
that's my
booty.
whole thing. I'm gonna open up a restaurant for married
and
people where you
sounds
can
like a
eat
strip
on the
club.
first floor.
It does
and
sound like a
have
strip
sex
club a
on the
little
second
bit.
floor.
Yeah, biscuits and booty definitely.
But I think
sounds like-
part of the stigma is thinking or taking it personal.
Yes.
Taking it personal as a man,
Right.
you have not done your job right.
Yeah.
We need to do this exact order for her to get there. And a lot of times while the conversation is happening, you can naturally or not naturally, if it's not working naturally, there's nothing wrong with using a product like Lola's lubrication to make the process more enjoyable.
And it's so important. And last week we've had Blue Chew, and you guys have been responding really well to Blue Chew. And that was for the men. And someone was in my DMs literally like, do you have anything for the women? And this is something that women can use to help make sex more enjoyable and less painful, because it can get painful if you are not properly lubricated. It can get painful. And so
Absolutely.
you want it is important to me to have things that don't have like a lot of chemicals and like all of these crazy kind of things that you're like putting inside of your body. And so this is made for women, created by a gynecologist. Like these are all things that you're like, check, because women know how things do things to your body. And how it affects you internally, and then you be having all types of issues later because
Right.
folks don't be knowing. But women know what women need.
Yes.
So amen to that.
Amen.
So it is key product attributes. It is water-based. It is made with aloe vera. It has a mess-free dispenser. Praise
Yes.
God
nice.
for
Praise
a
God
mess-free
for less
dispenser.
mess.
It is it has a long-lasting glide. Praise God for a long-lasting glide. It doesn't have any irritating chemicals. It is gynecologist approved. It is hypoallergenic, and it is formulated to help maintain a healthy pH balance.
Amen. Because you need that pH balance to be
You listen
Intact.
intact, because when it's off, child, things be going wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just letting y'all know that. So how can you get this? They are offering a 40% off to all subscriptions for our listeners. That's freaking fantastic.
That's a great deal. It's better than Black Friday.
It is better than Black Friday. So visit mylola.com and enter Love Hour when you check out and when you subscribe, and you will get 40% off. Again, that's mylola.com and enter Love Hour. That's LOVEHOUR when you subscribe, and you will receive 40% off.
Boom, boom. Room.
All right.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
I just got that.
We were talking about sexual exploration and freedom.
Freedom.
Yes.
So, yes. So, and Lola fits right into that, because a lot of times there
Absolutely.
is a lot of embarrassment
Yes.
and shame and guilt associated with sex.
Right. She keeps poking me.
Go for it.
Poking him only
You can
because
interrupt. You can interrupt.
I know, and I'm trying not to.
She want to interrupt you. She beating him up.
I beat him up because we just
it?
had this conversation
We did, yeah.
about how we all grew up with that shame attached to sex and how that translated into marriage. And I'm sorry, I'm just like setting it up to like lay up so you can like.
Okay, so here's the deal. The thing is like prior to, because if we want the comfort, we want to be comfortable with ourselves prior in marriage. But all that is built up with how we see sex before marriage.
Yes.
Right.
And the problem is, especially dealing with the church and
Yeah.
any kind of ecclesiastic base, we spend so much time trying to keep people from making mistakes that we've forbidden sex altogether. And when you forbid the idea or the thought of sex altogether, you forbid them to learn the value of it,
Yes.
the awesomeness of it, the greatness of it, the power of it.
Yeah.
Power.
And so, and so what happens is that now we're in a place where either one, if I have sex, I feel as ashamed as they make me feel for thinking about it.
Yep.
Or two, if I'm going to have it, if I'm going to go to hell, I might as well go all the way there. Let's go.
That's how I was.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the idea is that we need to pull back and we need to understand, like, okay, it's like a child who you don't want to get burnt in the kitchen.
Yes.
So you close the door and you never allow them into the kitchen. Then when
Right.
that first time in the kitchen, they're afraid. They're
Yeah.
afraid of the knives. They're afraid
Yes.
you teach them that this is to feed you. This is to give to you. This is to nourish you. This is to make you better. And that's what sex is. Sex is the most intimate, vulnerable bonding place. You're both emotionally naked. You're both physically naked.
Or sometimes you have socks.
Oh,
It depends on how cold or hot it is.
yeah, you
Your
know.
comfort level.
Well, if it's 78 degrees, you know,
Butt naked. In the
I'll
name
keep
of
my
Jesus.
socks
you need
on.
to take off all your socks. But the idea is that understand what sex does to us. Understand how it is to us. When we don't talk about that, we leave sex to a secular mindset. We leave
that's
sex
so true.
to the dark. And sex isn't dark. It's the value of it that's dark.
Yes.
It's how we interact with it that's dark. So that's where you start. What do I need to know? How do I know myself? I know I got this stuff. I know they got something different.
Right.
How do I, they making me feel a certain way. How do I interact with that? Okay, you don't interact with that because that's for bonding. If you bond too early, you're going to find yourself with a broken heart and some other things.
And I think that's where the conversation needs to begin in
Yeah.
churches and even now with our children, because of now the books we write, because of the education that we give to people. Sex is not bad outside of marriage. God was just not talking about sex so that way you won't go to hell. Like, don't have sex before marriage or else you're going to go to hell. That's not the whole idea. When we're created to connect and intimately bond with someone, God wants us to bond with someone and create a bond that should never be broken outside of death.
There you
When you begin to have sex before marriage and connect and bond with the wrong people, that creates the bonds that you now have so many issues getting rid of because you did not preserve it for that ultimate connection that you were supposed to have.
Right.
And so now we have married people. My husband doesn't touch me. My husband is addicted to porn. My wife won't have sex with me. My wife won't send me naked pictures because I'm just playing. Okay.
It's fine. I'm just like, yep.
But like they won't do it because we've learned in the church, like he said, it's bad. And so how many people will fantasize about sexuality and fantasize about sexual freedom inside of marriage, but then go off and hide it and tuck it away
Right.
because I've also been taught that it's wrong. And there's a consistent conflict everywhere in marriages today.
go. Right.
So
understanding that before marriage is not only something that can be, it's something that can have you living in hell. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to, you want to save it for that. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand. We talked to a whole lot of people, so a lot of people ain't waiting for that. Thank God for mercy and forgiveness.
And for grace. Yes, Lord, we love him.
But on the other side of that, it can be better when you're more comfortable with the idea of it, moving into that relationship. Now we're married.
Yeah.
Now we need some sexual freedom.
Yes.
But how do we get sexual freedom in something that we feel kind of uncomfortable with? We've never been there before with someone else. How do we work around with that? Know yourself. Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh God.
Create an environment of safety. That's the very first thing you want to do. There's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me reject you. There's nothing that I can tell you that's going to make you reject me. We may have disagreements or whatever, and this is even outside of the bedroom.
Yes.
But when we get into the bedroom, show me who you are. Show me what you like. Be teachable. Have a teachable spirit.
Show me who you are. Or allow, because some people enter the marriage and they're virgins. So not just show me who you are. I may not have experience there. Allow us to explore you together.
Yes.
Allow us to explore each other. If I've never had that experience, then create a place of safety and intimacy and openness and honesty that says, A, number one, I'm not going to judge you. But number two, I'm not going to leave you hungry for anything. I want to make sure that when we leave here, we both leave happy and satisfied. And that comes with that openness to explore each other.
So this is the question. So the question that I have is, when you are, let's say you're a virgin, because I know a lot of my listeners are our listeners that identify, they're like, oh my God, Melissa, what you're saying is me and I am you. So they readily identify with, a lot of the shame and the guilt. And I didn't have a lot of sexual freedom entering marriage because this, and we talked about this earlier, the difference between sexual purity and sexual integrity. Right. So I was so tied to this idea of sexual purity that it became who I was. Yeah. So being a virgin was a badge of honor because look at this great thing. And not that it was conscious at the time, but looking back on it, like it's a brand. It's a brand. It's your brand. It has become part of the good girl brand that is now Melissa Marshall. That's my maiden name. Look at Melissa Marshall. She is this good girl. She has never done this. She has never done this. She is pure. She loves the Lord. And then you get married and you're supposed to have this sexual freedom because you're in this context that God ordains. And it's like, how do I get there if I've shut off all parts of my sexual being in pursuit of purity? Go for it.
Two things, because I need you to take the second part.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna just piggyback the second part of this question.
Go for it. I'm making this point now.
No, I'm not making that point. I just want to make sure.
Wait, I
got to jump in fast enough.
I know, but before you answer the question, I want to make sure I got this other side of the question. So there's that part, and then there's also the part of people who maybe you didn't grow up in the church, and maybe you just weren't a virgin on your wedding day, but there is still a lot of guilt and shame that can be associated with sex because maybe you've had a promiscuous past. And so you go into this relationship, and even I've had men DM me and they're like, my wife used to be a freak and we got married and I don't really know what's happening.
Don't get it together on me.
Exactly.
I want the old you. Where's the Rahab?
Right.
Lady in the street. It never goes away.
It never, right.
I accepted you for a couple of reasons.
For who you were.
Throw that thing in a prayer circle.
Right, I did. I prefer that person. But for women, or for some people, awesome. They do have that guilt and that shame. And even if you, again, maybe you grew up in the church, you were taught one thing, and then you kind of went off and did your own thing, then you got married, and now these feelings of guilt and shame are coming back. Like, how do you break free? Like, what are practical steps to break free from that so you can enter into, like sexual freedom with your spouse?
Got you.
So I'll start because of how I grew up, very, very strict, like apostolics, like we couldn't do nothing.
Kev was PAW too.
Acts 238 for life.
Let me tell you.
For life.
And so with that, I think one of the first things that I had to do, and I'm not saying this, and please, PAW, don't come after me or anybody associated with the Apostolic Church. I promise you, I love it. It's roots. But one of the first things that I had to do was unlearn half of the stuff
I agree.
they taught me about sex. And I think everything that Kenyon and I teach starts with reprogramming your mind and renewing your mind about what things are. So I had to unlearn a lot of things and be okay with it. And I got talked about. I got shamed. They called me all sorts of stuff. She's unrealistic. They call like all this other things. You ain't about God no more. But it was like, because I had to literally reprogram myself, I also had to leave the places that I once called safe for who I was, because you weren't feeding who I was growing up to be.
Yeah.
That's a message.
And so when it came from there, once I began to learn that, I then had to learn again that sexuality was given to us for a purpose.
Yeah.
A good purpose.
A good purpose. And it's not just for childbearing. And so obviously we all refer to the Song of Solomon or Songs of Solomon. I mean, listen, mine almost grown. I'm almost out of there.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah.
but like when it comes down to it, and we look at the Song of Psalms, and I'll let Kenyon kind of break this down a little bit because he's much better at that than me. But when we're looking at those things, they were showing openly their desire. And pre-marriage, especially if you're dating to get married, it's not to say that you should lead with sexual conversations. If you're talking about the actual point of where you're going to get married, don't shy away from understanding what sex is and what sex is going to be inside of your marriage.
Right.
Because I think it should not just start on your wedding night. Like,
I agree with
bust
that.
everything
We
all
didn't do
wide
that.
open.
No, we did it. And
we
I
were
even
like,
think
if we talk about it, then we might do it. So let's shut up.
and
Exactly.
that's exactly, you cut off all parts of your sexual being to the point of ignorance.
You know what it's
Yes.
like? You know,
Wow.
so like on Titanic or submarines, they have those water compartments to where if you hit like an iceberg, they valve that off
Yeah.
so the water won't go anywhere else
Into-
to the boat.
right.
That's what we do to our sexual body.
That's
Yes.
good.
We're like, we can't talk about this, so just lock it out.
Cut it off so I don't sink.
Cut it off so I don't sink. But
the
what
sand.
happened, we never actually go and repair that part of the ship. We never dry dock our ship and remove that water and
So
repair.
true.
We just be like, okay, nope. And those sexual urges are not Christian. They
No.
have no religion.
At
What-
all.
Your
Oh,
body,
I got you. I
your
understand
body
what
is
you're
like,
saying.
bro, I ain't been to church.
Yeah.
I ain't saved. I'm gonna be urgent.
Yeah.
So what more? Because I remember when I was a kid, I promise I used to get so frustrated. I was like, if y'all tell me to pray and take a cold shower one more time, I'm
Right.
socking somebody. Because I'm praying and taking a cold shower. I'm taking a hot shower. I poke my eyes out. My meat is still hard. So what's up? Somebody need to give me another answer because all I'm now is cold and horny.
And I
instead
think
of
that's
just horny.
and what ends up happening is we leave because we're just repress it all.
Right.
Act
Repress
like
it all.
Repress it all and act like it doesn't exist. What happens is young people, teenagers, turn to the world
Yeah.
for their education
Yes.
because we haven't educated them in the way that makes sense. And Kevin and I went to Italy over the summer, and in Italy they allow their kids to start drinking wine at
12 and 16.
12 and 16 as long as their parents are present. And they don't have the like frat parties that America has.
Right.
There's no
The
stigma
drug
attached
dealers.
to
There's
wine.
no
It's something that you have
and
with
part
dinner.
of the stigma becomes a curiosity.
Yes.
And it has like, it's almost like a bad boy type of thing. So you're like, I want this because you're telling me I can't.
Right.
Instead of normalizing it and saying that this is something Shamira said, pleasure is your birthright.
Yes.
And
Esau.
behind that pleasure is the importance of understanding connections that can possibly be made
Right.
if you do this outside of the context in which God ordained.
Right.
And I think without making the connection on both sides, it is pleasurable. It is something that is great. It is something that God ordained. There are organs in your body that are solely for the purpose of pleasure. Like, this is a God ordained thing. It's not
Clitoris.
bad. There's no
Right.
shame. There's no guilt that should be associated with this actual act.
Yes.
If you say that this part, but tied with that
Yes.
is the
Right.
potential of being tied to people, forever, making
Right.
these soul ties and these connections and all of these things that you may not intend to
Right.
if you abuse this thing that God truly ordained to be something great and pleasurable and a beautiful experience. Then it's like, oh, I get it.
Yep.
There's a
Right.
huge responsibility that's associated with this act. I don't want to compromise that, so I will guide myself accordingly.
Exactly.
And it goes back to, sorry, I know I asked y'all the question, then I started talking.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay, I'm gonna keep
It's
talking.
your show, baby girl.
good.
It also goes back to this idea that I've been toying with, and I've just kind of been researching, is the idea behind sexual purity and sexual integrity, which we basically just talked about.
Right, yeah.
And that as a child and, as a young person, I was tied to this idea of sexual purity. It had nothing really to do with my relationship with God and the consequences of potentially sleeping with all these people beforehand. It had nothing to do with this. It was just a badge of honor that I get to stick on my shirt and say, Gold Star Melissa.
And for
you're
your
a virgin.
husband.
And from, yes, all of these things. This is so great. Look at me. And it demonized this act.
Right.
And God never intended the act to be demonized.
Never.
He just wants you to say, you have a relationship with me, and as a result of that, I'm going to guide your decisions. And included in that decision is celibacy, not abstinence. It's more than just abstaining.
Right.
It is doing this and committing to God because I understand all aspects of this act. If I do it outside of the context in which God ordained.
Right.
Try to preach a little bit right
You
there.
did.
So
We need an organ. I keep saying I want an organ for our podcast. So like every time Kian says something, I can be like, cue up the V3.
Cue
So
up
how
the
we get
B3.
beyond that is, again, integrity, building a value for sex and character. Those two come together. Also understanding that sex is not a foreign topic for the Bible itself.
Yes.
It's definitely not a foreign topic.
No.
When we go to the Song of Songs, some Bibles have it as Song of Solomon. We don't know if he actually wrote it, but it's a beautiful poem. And it starts out in a woman's voice. And it's a man and a woman who loves each other. They want each other, but they're not married. But they express their desire for each other, their physical, mental, and emotional desire. So here they are chasing each other, each chapter or each section chasing each other. Up to the end, they find each other, then they run away. Why? Because of the integrity. It's okay to want you.
Yes.
It's okay to be wanted.
Yes.
That's how listen, none of us are so cut off that we're going to marry somebody that we're not attracted to.
Yes.
None of us are. I hear that all the time. Well, it's the thought that, or
What's on the inside.
that yes, what on the inside was count. Well, a little bit, but I want to know that I can get to the inside and I know where I'm going to the inside too.
Right,
You understand what I'm saying?
right.
I want to know where I'm going with that. It's okay to be attracted. It's
Right.
okay. Sex is
To desire.
Sex is the process of creation in which pleasure is created. This is good. When all creation came into
Wait.
into
You're
fruition.
talking. You talking fast. You talking fast.
I'm
I need
sorry.
you to go back to. You said pleasure is the.
Oh my goodness.
You forgot it was that good. Your brain was like, nah, you ain't gonna
Yeah,
do
I'm
that.
sorry. I just go.
Okay.
Pleasure is the place, or I'm sorry, sex is the pleasure of the place of creation.
That is what she said. Okay.
You understand what
Okay,
I'm saying?
yes.
Sex
Oh,
is
yeah.
the pleasure of the place of creation.
Yes.
Where there's a potential for life. Now, when we have a perfect God who gave us this, when he gave life, it was good. Everything he created, it was good. That was in a very, 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 very high level, very high spiritual level. And, it's kind of hard to articulate. That was a gratification, a pleasurable gratification for the Father. So if that exists for the Father, obviously we're going to be made in a way, we're in a reflective way in which it exists for us.
Right.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And we have to relay that message, but it has to exist in a place of character and integrity, like
Absolutely.
you said. Now, how do we get away from the shame and the guilt? We get away from the shame and the guilt. First, let me explain something, the two differences. There's a difference between guilt and shame.
That's true.
Guilt is I did something wrong.
Yes.
Shame is I'm identified as what I did.
Yes.
So number one, you get away from it by saying, I am not what I did in my past. I am not the failures that I've made.
Come on.
I am not who I was.
Preach.
And and then you say, okay, you take accountability for the guilt. I made bad choices. I don't have to make bad choices today.
Absolutely.
I made bad choices in the past. I got caught up with whoever in the past, and that caused me to get to a particular place in my life where I was hurt. I can back up off of that. Now I can make new decisions. The first new decision is understanding myself,
Yes.
and then being willing to understand my spouse.
Yes. That was
Preach.
good.
Makes sense?
Yes.
You can also make really good decisions on how you smell.
Because of that pH that goes into your marriage.
Actually, one thing I was going to say is one thing I understand about my spouse is cleanliness and hygiene.
Is important to
And
me.
it's important to Melissa, and on top
Specifically
of
with
basic,
sex too.
Melissa ain't on that. Let's have a long day's work. Let's just jump in the bed. I honor you by washing off the day. You know? So one thing that we do before we have sex to prepare ourselves for each other, or even the opportunity, is great fragrances. You know, so we have partnered with fragrances with Scentbird, and they sent us some amazing fragrances because I like to take a shower. I'm not putting no clothes on after the shower. It's just my natural musk and a little cologne. You feel me? Because when she's like, when we sit in the bed and she's like, "Oh, you smell nice." When you smell nice, you want to scoot closer. Hey man,
that's
so
true.
when I'm clean and fresh and you know, smelling fresh with deodorant, like the basic clean, and then that cologne is that it's the attraction. It's come closer, nestle into me, nestle in your bosom.
Come worship at my rock.
Yes, and one thing about me is I get super lazy, right? I have my smell. YSL was my smell 16 to 18. Like I just kept buying it because I like it. But just like you were talking about earlier with sex, like that same smell becomes just like the smell of somebody's house.
There you go.
You just smell like that person's house. But with Scentbird, we have all these different fragrances that all smell amazing. And now it could be, this new smell. This is more oaky. This is more masculine. This is more sweet or whatever. This smells better on the clothes than on the skin. And now it's a different surprise because I put a cologne on the other day that I got from Scentbird that she hadn't smelled before. And she was like, "What is that?" Oh, it ain't number little Tom Ford, baby girl.
You silly. Scentbird comes in more than 450 designer brands, and each container has 120 sprays, which is a 30-day supply. They come in these little... I'm actually a huge component of like cute packaging. It's kind of a dorky thing, but I do like really cute packaging. And this is cute and functional packaging because it's not going to spill if you're traveling, which we travel a lot. That's always something.
And I've had colognes breaking and
that's
be everywhere.
The worst. And
you don't want your
perfume
toothbrush
stains
to smell like cologne.
Yeah, and it doesn't come out like the stain mark doesn't come out of your clothes. It's just kind of the worst. So anyway, I love really cute like functional packaging, and this is both cute and very functional. So I love that there are designer shades. There are designer brands that you can choose, and it's really easy to. You go on the website, you pick if you're a man or a woman, and you can sort by perfume types, whether you like floral or musk or all the different types. Or you can sort by brands. It's like super, super easy is what I'm trying to tell you when you go on. So I definitely recommend. And what they are offering to our listeners is 50% off your first month. That's great.
Yes.
So for only $7.50, you will get your first fragrance. Again, this is a 30-day supply. Go to scentbird.com/lovehour and use my code lovehour for 50% off your first offer. Again, that's Scentbird. That's SCENT. Scent, like smell, bird.com/lovehour. That's LOVEHOUR to try your first perfume or cologne for just $7.50. Last time, that's scentbird.com/lovehour and use our code lovehour for 50% off your first month. Freaking fantastic. And we have literally I've been using these nonstop since we received them. So
have I. They made Valentine's Day very much nicer.
They did make Valentine's Day very much nicer. These are great. Okay. So last thing about sexual freedom that I wanted to say is that this is what I wanted to say. How can we get to a point of like one practical way to get to sexual freedom?
In marriage.
Study each other.
But tell me what that means.
Okay.
Like really break it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and he's certified in this, babe. So you just go.
Like I'm gonna tell you why. I think sometimes we get at least for me, you're like, okay, I want to do better. I am motivated to do better. What do I do first?
Set it up like, okay, so pretend like it's us.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm telling you that I want to explore sexuality more with my husband. What are some things that you're going to advise and tell us to do?
You're a counselor, right?
Okay.
So you have a practice.
So
we are in your couch.
So here's the thing you gotta understand.
On it.
Sex itself is simple as tap A and slot B, but each of you are a school in and of yourself. Your wife and your husband is your own university, and you have to want to learn.
I like this
them.
analogy.
I like it.
So the first thing you want to do is you want to ask them what they like.
Okay.
Ask them, what do you like? Where's your spot? What's going on?
Time there.
But
What if you
Go
don't know
for
your
it.
spot?
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if they don't know their spot, so if I'm telling you that like I'm very inexperienced, now I'm open to try. I may be a little scared. I'm not sure where to go. What sort of things? If I don't know, what are you gonna do as a husband to make me feel comfortable, but then also explore me? I don't want this to get pornographic, but I'm just saying.
Yes. You did good. I like it.
Okay. One of the first things you want to do is try manual stimulation. Use your fingers on
Okay.
each other. You see what I'm saying?
That is called masturbation.
Spirit fingers.
To each other.
So mutual masturbation.
Mutual
Right,
mass.
to each
Mute
other.
mass.
And as
Right.
a theologist, because this is a question, we don't have to get deep into the
Right.
masturbation question.
Right.
I think that mutual masturbation is an acceptable thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts and feelings from a theologist perspective? Did
It
we
is-
say that in the beginning? He has a theology degree. So
Right.
he is our resident Bible
Theologian.
expert.
He's my.
So, okay, it is acceptable as a thing to do. It is unacceptable as if you're not thinking about your husband or your wife.
So,
So even if you're married.
Even if you're married.
Yeah.
if you are
Yeah.
married and you are separated and one of you're sexting and your masturbation occurs.
One of you
trying-
think about the other's think about Jennifer Aniston.
But we're thinking about
Jennifer
what?
Aniston.
Yeah, she turned 50 today.
Why do you know that?
Why?
I was on Twitter for a long time today, and they were saying she still looks good because she's not problematic. And she minds her business. Black Twitter always say you look good if you just mind your business and drink your water.
That's just
Wow.
listen, let me
And
grab
even
my
person
water.
can be thinking about Jennifer Aniston.
Okay, so the question is, that is a question
my
that comes
cup
out
of tea.
quite often. And honestly, it could be a hindrance, a roadblock in a relationship. There are so many things that, in general, and generally speaking, men might be more comfortable with just because the way that society has, and men and
Turned sex into a man thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's very
Well, okay,
patriarchal
look,
versus
yeah.
women. So there might be, if you grew up super churchy or super conservative or whatever, your imprint may be such that masturbation is bad, period, point blank. It doesn't matter if it's mutual. It doesn't matter if you're across town and you're thinking about me. This is a no for me. This is a hard no for me.
Okay, let's go ahead and just demystify this whole sex thing as
Okay.
far as being for men and for women. Men are sexual creatures. Women are holistically sexual. Now we already know that sex start with women on outside of the bedroom.
Yes.
But women also have so many more nerve endings.
Absolutely.
Than a man does. So while we feel it, a woman does feel it, and she has a way more
Intense.
feeling. It's like being electrocuted, or however you want to say, in a very pleasurable way. The idea is that she can enjoy it in a more holistic way. If you're a woman, you need to understand how that works.
Absolutely.
You need to touch yourself, and it's okay.
Okay.
Now, when I say that,
You're talking about from an education
From an
standpoint.
yeah.
So last week when we had Shamira on, and honestly, I encourage everyone to do this, and I thought this was so good, where she was talking about a V-date, which is kind of what you're kind of suggesting too, and that is being aware of your body, so that way you can instruct your husband or your spouse or whomever
Yes.
how to pleasure you, because sometimes we are so ignorant about sex. We're ignorant about sex, period, but even more, we're ignorant about our own bodies.
yes, absolutely.
And I think that
And
is
your body is
such
a wonderland.
yes.
It
I'll
is.
use my hand.
Yeah.
It's a wonderland. But I think also because pornography has been so embedded in us, in our society, that we see sex as only like the last 10 minutes of what sex is. And so when it comes down to it, a porno, them things last and record for like hours, but you only see the last 10, 15 minutes.
So true.
So when it comes down to it, I think we also have to reprogram our mind to say that sex is more than what we've seen and more than what society has shown us as well. And so exploring your body and exploring yourself, you have to also remove the imagery that you've been taught or were raised to believe that sex is supposed to be.
Right.
And so
absolutely.
exploring your body, like when the Bible talks about your breasts, and again, Song of Solomon, I keep saying Solomon because I never heard it the other way. It's Song of Psalms, right? But when the Bible mentions that, it mentions breasts. Yes, we feed our children with it, but he was actually talking about doing other things with that breast.
Right.
So then, okay, begin to play around with areas like that. Play around. And it's, if we're looking at making sure that we're going to be comfortable with our spouse. I think the first thing too, as a woman, I was ashamed of my body.
Yes.
And so it was like also being comfortable with who you are, being comfortable as a woman, loving yourself wholly, and being able to express that love for yourself before you expect somebody else to. Because part of exploring yourself sexually and as part of asking your spouse to explore you sexually means that you also have to be comfortable with yourself.
Absolutely.
Know yourself, but then open yourself up enough to make them comfortable with knowing you and exploring you as well.
Absolutely.
That's good. Thank you. Because it's hard for a guy to talk to women, you know.
Touch yourself. It's okay. I like it. I'll be there.
Do it just like this.
No, try like
But
this.
it's
For me to
important.
tell you, it's okay. I like it.
I mean, you know, it's like, okay, you want to talk to my wife, but you can. From a theological perspective, there's nothing wrong with it unless it takes your mind away from your husband or away from I'm looking to feel myself.
Yes.
Women are better capable of doing that than men.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, understand yourself, know yourself, see where you are. You understand what I'm saying? Get that.
Have
like
a
you said.
V-date.
There you
I
go.
think that is a great idea, and I'm going to encourage, and honestly, I want to do it myself, but I want to encourage everyone to do that, because I think from an educational standpoint, and I can't stand Kevin Fredericks.
I'm just looking at the camera and in agreement. Tell
One
me
of
how it
the,
goes.
and
How was your date?
I
What'd you
think
find
it's
out?
so important, because I shared this actually last week and maybe before, but I was going through this phase of honestly talking about Lola, and we talked about the sex side, but they have like a whole feminine product line, and it takes out all these chemicals and all of these things that are like bad for your bodies that a lot of feminine products have, tampons, pads, and all those things, and they release all of these chemicals in your body. And I was like, I don't really want that. Like, that's kind of gross. Like, I want to kind of look at an alternative. And so I was looking at alternatives, and it requires you to be a lot more intimate with your body when you're inserting it. And I was so freaked out.
Really?
Wow.
About touching my own, and it wasn't in a sexual way. It was literally,
Right.
you need to just put this in, because otherwise it's going to be a mess. And I was having such a hard time doing it because of my own just like issues with touching myself. And I really got to a point, I mean, literally and it was months. I was struggling, because I was like, I want to be done with this. I really want to commit to this, but I was struggling. Okay. Like, I was struggling. And after months, I literally had a conversation with myself, and I was like, girl, do better.
Get it together.
Get it together. This is your body first. You've had children, you're married, you've gone to estheticians to get your body waxed. Like, you've done all of these things, and you mean to tell me that you have a problem touching yourself?
Right.
Girl,
Right.
get it together immediately.
together. Yes.
This is unacceptable. And I literally had I'm talking to y'all like that, but literally this is how I'm talking to myself, to like really get it together. But it has to do with just the like shutting everything off.
Yes.
And even the just like from a purely educational standpoint, you should be aware of your body.
Absolutely.
And we don't even do, like, we want all of it, throw the whole everything away. And everything that has to do with it, throw it all away. I want to be ignorant. I don't want to learn any of these things. And there's such a missed opportunity in that. And then when you get to the bedroom, it's even like, I don't know what I want. I ain't never touched myself. The clitoris, child, you tell me where it's at.
Right.
And this is the
Right.
other thing. This
It's right
is the
above the
other
mons
thing.
pubis.
What?
Yes.
Okay. That was anatomy 101. But let me tell you this other last thing, and I've been thinking about this, and I heard this, and I was like, yes. The other part of this is that women are often taught to be the receivers
Yes.
of sex.
Yeah.
We are never the engine.
Yeah.
We are never the people get it going. We are just the receiver. So with that, it's, no, I don't know where my clitoris is. You don't know?
Right. Like
Right.
they told me that's what you do.
I am just here to receive. You are supposed to tell me
Tell
what is
me
good,
what
what
you
works,
want.
what doesn't work, how it's supposed to go, because we are on the receiving end. At
Yeah.
least that's how it's taught. And so even just again with taking the stigma out of sex and all of those things, it's just giving that power and sexual exploration and sexual
Right.
trial, all the things, is the giving women that power back. A lot of times men are just in general more comfortable than women. And I think what men are looking for when you're talking about being desired, we have to be comfortable with ourselves.
Yes.
And we
Right.
also have to learn to be the engine
Yeah.
to get it going. And we can only do that with being comfortable with ourselves, knowing our body, knowing what works, knowing what turns us on, so we can instruct our husbands along the way. So, and then when you decrease this orgasm gap, and now sex is more pleasurable, and when you are in charge, it's more that's more
That's it.
stimulating than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Can I? Here's what I
I'm
would
done
recommend.
talking. I know I kind
No,
of
no, real quick. Can I recommend this real quick?
recommend.
For a husband and wife, right? You're trying to discover each other. Go on a wife scavenger hunt. Here's what I mean by
I
that.
like this. Explain.
Oh, I think we should create something like this. Okay, go. I'm like, next.
Here's what you do. Have her put on a blindfold.
Okay. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I need more control. But keep going.
No.
You ain't even heard but the first step of it.
We
no,
are
no,
not.
No,
we-
you ain't gonna find nothing.
I
Because
need more
we're
control of the situation. I need to see.
no, we're walking by faith and not by
Okay,
sight.
I
We need-
I need more faith. I need more faith.
No. And it's
No,
not.
keep
It's
going.
not
I'm
about tying
teasing.
up or
I know,
anything
I know,
like
I know.
that.
I'm teasing.
But it's the idea of
A little bit.
now to put on the blindfold, because the blindfold it increases the senses. The
Yeah,
other
it does.
senses.
You seen Daredevil?
And so.
Let me take them blindfolds. No, I'm sorry.
and
Go
so
ahead.
and so what you
Try
do
it.
is you search her body. How does this feel? Search all over. Start with your hands. How does this feel?
Still couldn't touch your body.
Go with kisses. How does this feel?
Babe, I'm listening
understand
to
what
you
I'm
because I feel like
I'm
this is
listening.
great.
I think this is a great
But
idea.
you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And then everything you do, you ask her. So what happens is you become teachable, but you allow, and it's teaching, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, I like
you're
this.
in control.
It's a way to ask her. Teach me you.
Yes.
Show me you. Where is it at?
Yes.
What do you like?
Go ahead. You can.
That was a great idea.
But I think it's
You
an
ain't want to
amazing
listen to. You said
idea.
blindfold. You like no.
But no, number one, I'm gonna tell y'all right now.
Okay.
Cover your kids' ears. It works. Okay. It is just it heightens everything, in the
Blindfolds do.
married bed. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I think also when you allow your husband to explore you in that way, it does something for you in order to be able to teach him what you like and allow him to learn you. But I think as men, I think it also takes away the idea that, look, I've been doing sex for a long time. I know how to do it. I know what I'm doing. I'm finna just go in and do what I do. Shaniqua used to scream all the time. I know this is what works.
Right.
Like, and at post, it comes in and it makes you ask for permission
Yeah.
to please your wife.
And it can't. I imagine if you play this blindfold game, it can't just be a ram in the bush.
No.
That's all men. When I first got married, it was just ramming the bush,
Yes.
ramming the bush,
Yeah.
ramming the bush, and
Yeah.
that's so many studies and women have said like that physical just. There's just not much
There's
there.
nothing to
That's
it.
straight on ramming
There
the
is
bush.
nothing
or
there.
lack of bush.
Absolutely. And that's the problem, because, and going back to pornography real quick, we learn.
Oh yeah.
We
Yes.
learn
Movies and
sex
porn is
by
just-
exactly.
Right.
I like
Right.
that. Oh.
And that is
All right.
certainly not how you want to learn to love your wife. And that's
Exactly.
not how a wife wants to learn to be loved.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, that scavenger hunt, man, that game, that experience is good for us too, because
Yeah.
we get a heightened pleasure that's thrown
Yes.
back at us or given to us.
I
And
like
we're
this.
It's
Right?
like-
okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
like that.
I'm the man.
I like
of
that.
It is like
you see what I'm saying?
Here's the analogy I want to use. 'Cause
That was great.
everybody's been having good ones, and I haven't had a good one today.
You've been great.
We're
I
waiting
have
for
an
that ram in the
analogy though.
bush.
Okay,
Oh,
give us
Rabbit
your,
Bush was okay.
okay, give us your analogy.
My analogy is this. I'm gonna use a football analogy.
Okay.
The reason Tom Brady is a
sports analogy.
because I'm talking to men. I mean, y'all don't get this. Is for me and Kenya. It's Tom Brady, right?
Okay.
Difference between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady's 6 rings, been in the league 15 years, or whatever. Patrick Mahomes is very new.
Okay.
It's the ability to read and understand the defense. Okay. The more time you spend with your wife and understanding your wife, she tells you what she likes. You don't have to relearn that. You know, unless she says, hey, I want to try this new, but you can use this information from previous, previous experiences and say, hey, she
With
likes
her.
it.
Previous
with her.
accountants with her.
With her, that's what I mean. Yeah, them other girls stuff don't matter. But you start to understand, like, okay, my wife likes this. She likes this speed, this pressure, these erogenous zones, or whatever. Because you were saying, Takara, about Shaquisha used to like this. Well, this girl ain't Shaquisha.
Exactly.
So
Right.
that's why sex with one person over extended period of time gets better. Like
Right.
before we got married, people were like, man, you're going to have sex with the same woman. Oh, that's going to get boring. Actually, the opposite is true.
Exactly.
First of all, they know what you like and you are more comfortable with them. When you're like having sex with your spouse or before you get married, there, especially for a man, there's a certain amount of bravado. I gotta put it down. So in case she tells her friends, or I got to do whatever,
Yes.
or I'm worried about an STD or pregnancy. So there's not a lot of freedom in
Right.
that. But when when I was having sex with my wife, I don't care if I hope she gets pregnant.
Right.
It'll be
Right.
great. Like this
Right,
would be,
right.
I mean, my jumper
no more
hit.
babies coming
You know what I'm saying? Bow, hit for the 3. So but what I went to say, I got away from it because I was trying to be funny, is this activity will help you to learn your spouse.
Yes.
And the more you learn about your spouse, the more you're comfortable with each other, the better your experiences can be.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Hey,
agree.
You can
man.
run those routes.
Run those same routes. I can read the hot route. The corner blitzing. I see it coming. I'm calling another play hot route. Boom for the touchdown.
There it is.
The
There it
goal
is.
zone. That's the clitoris.
And then you do the
End
dance.
zone.
Do the
you
dance.
find it there. You open it up.
Actually,
Hello, I like to touch you this way.
I like it.
I would say that is the 10-yard line,
Yeah.
or I would say that's the field goal.
Yeah.
The end zone is about 2 inches a little bit deeper and with a cluster of nerves.
Yeah.
And that's what they call that G spot thing.
That's
You see
a
what I'm
good
saying?
spot. Good power universal.
And if
That
you
was
don't know
another
where
thing.
it is, find it.
Search
Immediately.
all over.
Through the scavenger hunt
Scavenger
game.
hunt. There it is.
I love it. I think that's a fantastic, and I think that's practical, and I think that is a great way, number one, to end the podcast, but it is also a great tidbit to give. It's a practical step people can take with them that says, I'm interested in this. I want sexual freedom. I want sexual exploration within my marriage. I don't know how to get there. I think this is a great, just practical, something they can do,
Yeah.
So we want to say that we are still having, wait, did you open a new box?
No, this is our box.
Okay. So I want to
blindfold.
say that we are still having our giveaway, and the rules are simply follow
Oh,
the
no.
Love Hour podcast on
Search me.
Instagram and on Facebook.
Touch me and
you
see
will
if I like it.
receive
Try me
the
and
book
see if I won't open the windows
I don't know
of heaven.
nothing.
that
Do I
Kevin
like
has.
this? I have a blindfold on for the audio
Listen,
listeners.
and the winner will receive, as part of their package, this blindfold that Kevin has on. And I encourage you to play the scavenger hunt game with it.
Oh, I'm a
Be
willing
careful.
vessel. Touch my
Okay,
body.
but this is the thing. You're so annoying.
Touch my
But this is
I'm
the
playing
thing.
this tonight with you.
Okay, but this is the thing.
I'm not taking this off for the rest of the day. It's 1 o'clock. Tell me where
But
to
this
go.
is the thing. Listen, women, it's for you to take control. Can I encourage my women listeners to take control? You put on the blindfold. You are in the driver's seat. You are not. We are often the brakes. We are often the one saying
Ooh,
no.
that's good.
We are often the one saying stop. And what we are instead doing is saying, I'm in control and I want you to do this. This feels good. That does not. You are the guiding light.
You know what?
In this
Instead of being
activity.
the brakes, you need to be the gear.
Yes.
I
You
wanna
need to
go
be the
first.
gas.
No, the gear, because the gear says we're going to go first, second, third.
Got you.
Slow down, going in reverse. You got control the whole gear shift
The
and the whole
whole gear
speed,
shift.
and not just stop.
Yes.
How do y'all feel about wine?
I love
like
wine.
Okay. Babe, in the Bible, who was it? Was it Paul told somebody drink some wine to kind of ease their nerves? and
It was
things like
That
Jermaine.
was- he told Timothy to drink wine for his stomach.
Little wine
He
settles the
he
that?
stomach.
Because he was a little nervous. There's nervous.
I don't think it was nervousness. I'm not necessarily sure.
Okay, well, we're gonna go with he was nervous.
Content.
So we're gonna go with he was nervous. I'm gonna say,
Okay.
ladies, if you need to have some wine to release those inhibitions a little bit too.
I concur.
I would say, because if you're already
Child.
tense, if you're already uncomfortable, start the night off with a little wine. take a bath, whatever you need to do to get yourself there. So that way it releases like all of the inhibitions that you have, and you get a little bit more, for lack of better words, loose.
Yes.
In that situation.
Yes. I'm most certainly going to concur. We ain't now. Don't be getting drunk. 'Cause getting drunk at our age just ain't a good idea.
It's
anyway,
just not cute.
However, I do believe in a great glass of Moscato.
Yes.
It's just one of my favorite things, and so yeah, I'm gonna suggest that as well. I'm gonna concur on the glass of wine.
Well, all right.
Okay, and then I think that's it. Stay tuned if you want to join the Love Hour mailing list. That is open. Please text Love Hour to 555-888. If you are an international listener, which I'm stunned that this is happening, but I've had a few people like, I'm international, I can't text this number. Email lovehourpodcast@KevOnStage.com and I will manually add you. And registration will be opening shortly.
And be ready, y'all, because it's only 1,000 slots.
We have 1,000
So put your money
people.
away now. Save some from your taxes.
It's not going to be that expensive.
It ain't gonna be that expensive, but once it sells out, we
It's
cannot
It is
add
done.
any more people. It is 1,000.
We're not trying to have Fire Festival, so
No,
it is. We are trying.
not. We
Yes,
are planning for real.
we are planning for something that is
something next
manageable.
year. It'll sell out this year. I ain't gonna hold you.
It'll be 1,000 people, and once we announce the speakers and we announce the activities, you guys are going to be so excited because I am so excited. But it'll be in July 9th through 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope that you will be there. Do you have any other last words, Kevin Fredericks?
This blindfold is for you. To wear.
Kenya, Takara, can you give them your socials and where they can reach you?
You can reach us everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even though we don't hang out on Twitter that much. Sorry. At Ask the Martins. That's pretty much all of that.
All right. And thank you so much to our sponsors today, Purple, Lola, and Scentbird. Please support our sponsors. Supporting our sponsors is a way to support us as well. And we will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Bye.